you shape architecture and architecture shapes you in a certain way. But it's also something that you should, in a way, control a little bit, because otherwise it might easily overtake whole your private life. And I know lots of cases of people that bring all their energy and all their lives towards architecture, but it's not always gives you back enough. And then you're left without the partner, without the family. Let's say you might be quite lonely. Your social life could also drop down. If you stay in the office daily till 11 or 12, then you don't have any energy to go afterwards anywhere or do anything else. So I think what helps me is just to see or know my limits, let's say, because also for balancing, it's important to know what are your limits of being productive, being efficient. Because let's imagine if you stay constantly over hours at the office, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will produce more or higher quality work. It's for sure the direct, like straight way to burnout. So it's just a question how soon it will happen.
DesignMinded episode 4. Today we are with Irina. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, Tifa. It's such a pleasure to join you for this podcast.
Thanks. It's our pleasure too to hear your experiences and advice and anything that you want to share with us, with me and the audience. Let's first start with the question. I always ask this question to the guests. Can you share with us a bit about your journey into architecture?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Irina, and I'm a young architect currently based in Amsterdam. And at this moment, I have about 2 years of professional experience. I finished my master's in Italy. And yeah, my overall journey started, well, as for everybody with bachelor's, and I had 5 years back in my country in Russia. And well, I think I decided to become an architect really being young. Maybe I was 15 or so.
Yeah.
And it happened, yeah, just because I always had a certain kind of vision that I want to be in the creative industry. And I think I started drawing really early, maybe from 8 or 9 years old. And I always thought that I will become actually an interior designer. I don't know why. I was a kid and I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna plan the houses and pick the furniture and stuff like that. But at the end, it didn't happen. And I think also in my family, yeah, people, my parents and my relatives, they didn't really understand this, how the design could be a job. And then I noticed that at school, I was quite fine with both creative subjects and maybe maths and geometry. And yeah, both went really well. And at the end, architecture popped up. We thought, yeah, it might be a great choice. Yeah. And then I started and never quit it.
And
Yeah.
you did your master's in one of the best schools in the world, right? In Polyme, if I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
mistaken. How,
Indeed.
how
Indeed.
was how was your experience there?
Yeah, actually, I enjoyed it so much. I think it's also because originally I'm from quite a small city. It is a provincial city, and my first part of education maybe was, yeah, it was exactly as a in general the level of or life standard in the city. And then when I came to Italy to study for masters, I was quite inspired, and I was maybe somehow even shocked by the difference of quality of education and everything we did there. So for me, it was just a wonderful journey. I also met so many great young architects or aspiring architects. And I think we had great collaborations together, like studio projects in teams, in groups of 4 or 5 people together. And it was wonderful just to learn from them, because I think I learned the most just from collaborating with different architects all over the globe. We had people from Colombia, from Latin America, from India, from European countries, yeah, from Africa, from everywhere. So that was the greatest part, I think.
Awesome. And talking about an inspiration, what were or what are still now your inspiration resources that you come back to when you have a design problem, let's say?
Well, to me, actually, it's not about searching for inspiration specifically when I'm stuck with the concepts, let's say, but more like maintaining this certain inspired mood or inspired conditions. So I'm quite an introvert, and when I need to recharge, I always go to the nature. I try to find certain space for being with myself, with like a silence mode, let's say, without too much interaction with the social media or people. And then it might be reading the books or enjoying music, or like some these simple things actually that bring back general conditions and energy to produce anything or to create anything. So I actually just need a little bit of a silence for myself to search
So,
for inspiration.
so you maintain the balance between your life and between your job, as I understood. How do you keep this balance? We know that architecture is a quite intensive career. And also,
Yeah.
after asking you about the balance, I wanted to ask you about two different points of view. Some people mention that architecture is only a job. We shouldn't give it more importance than it is. Just work, do your stuff at office, leave it, then go back to your life. Some other people tell you, no, architecture is a lifestyle. You have to always be an architect at home, there, here. So, first question, the balance. Second, which point of view do you stand with and why?
Yeah, thank you. It's super interesting question, to be honest. And yeah, it's super striking at the moment as well, also among my audience and in general. And yeah, about balancing, I think for me, what helps a lot is basically prioritizing. And it doesn't mean that I don't love architecture or I don't love my job and I just want to finish and run away. No, not at all. But it is about, yeah, setting up for yourself individually a certain list of priorities that you know for sure that this is it. So it's about your health for sure, it's about your family, about your relatives, it might be about your partner. And at a certain moment, of course, you understand that, yeah, architecture is a lifestyle. This profession kind of requires, or maybe not requires, it shapes you. You shape architecture and architecture shapes you in a certain way. But it's also, yeah, it's also something that you should, in a way, control a little bit, because otherwise it might easily overtake whole your private life. And I know lots of cases of people that bring all their energy and all their lives towards architecture, but it's not always gives you back enough. And then you're left with without the partner, without the family. Let's say you might be quite lonely. Your social life could also drop down. If you stay in the office daily till 11 or 12, then you don't have any energy to go afterwards anywhere or do anything else. So I think what helps me is just to see or know my limits, let's say, because also for balancing, it's important to know what are your limits of being productive, being efficient. Because let's imagine if you stay constantly over hours at the office, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will produce more or higher quality work. So I mean, it's for sure the direct, like, straight way to burnout. This is for sure. Nobody will argue about that. So it's just a question how soon it will happen. So how many months you can stay like that. How maybe somebody can stay a year, but then you will burn out. And that's the biggest problem. I think architecture is a marathon. So yeah, we should just try to consider it in this way, and to set up our individual priorities and boundaries.
Great answer. And because also I noticed in your profile, you post a lot about well-being and psychological health for architecture students and for young architects. So, and I believe that a lot of them are asking you questions through messages or you have seen it
Yeah.
somewhere. So, what are the main problems that the student face nowadays, and what will be your answer for them?
Well, that's quite complex because, of course, yeah, I think we all have maybe quite similar challenges and quite
Mm.
similar problems as young architects, and especially in the beginning of the career. But at the same time, of course, there are a lot. I think our field is quite in, yeah, as you said in the beginning, it's quite intense, and there are many problems that we can face. But what I notice mostly now is that quite many young architects are struggling with the insecurities, for example,
Yeah, yeah.
or yeah, or like with the certain, well, let's say unhealthy attitude from their tutors or professors.
Mm.
That's quite a big question, I think, in architecture. I don't know why, not in other fields, but exactly in architecture. Yeah, but it is what it is. And yeah, I think there, as a disclaimer, of course, I'm not a psychologist, so I cannot help with the burnout or any like depression which was evoked by working in architecture or studying in architecture. So that's for sure. But at least what I can do is maybe to share my own journey and to
Yeah.
share my own experience, to show my little steps in this career. There is nothing huge and big what I did till now, but it's just little steps towards, well, let's say big goal. And I'm trying to express it in the most honest way, and as one of my followers said, like, let's say down to earth approach. So yeah, I love romanticizing our field as well. That's also what you could probably notice in my profile, that I'm trying to romanticize this whole adventure in architecture, but also, let's say, to bring up optimism, just optimistic approach to it, because there are challenges. Yeah, there are problems. We all face it, and it's really hard. And but the field is so interesting at the same time. And one of my colleagues said that for a good architect, it's really important to, even when you're already like quite adulty architects, let's say senior, it's still really good to stay kind of idealistic, about everything what is happening. Otherwise, of course, you can really soon get to depression or whatever, like really bad mental conditions if you, yeah, if you take it too close to, too close to your heart. And yeah, so
Great. So, like, if we brief the strategies for those who may feel that they are burnt out, you advise them to, make the try to do the balance, not to be very drawn to the career and
I,
to,
yeah.
return back to their life after the work. Did I get it right?
Yeah, I think so. At least when, if you're already in a burnout, that's definitely what any person needs to do, is to get back to themselves, let's say. And especially, I think with many like mental problems that are like, well, let's say as a burnout, it's important to get back to your body as well. I think
Mm.
for me, sports helps a lot, honestly, because it's also yeah, getting you back downwards to your body, to the physical conditions. And it's something that we are really missing out from the whole job in architecture, work in architecture, because we are sitting so many hours in front of PCs, in front of the our screens. And then we are also constantly in this creative process somewhere in our minds, and really in this imagination process. And it's getting really disconnected with the body and with the reality. So maybe taking a step back is always a good advice when you're already in these problems. But of course, I'm trying to promote to not get into this in the
Yeah,
first place,
yeah.
to not reach these conditions, because it's really tough. And I believe many people just also need the professional help in that case
I want
afterwards.
I want also to go back to the point that you mentioned before, the insecurities, because I
Yeah,
believe also a lot of students are facing this problem. Not only students, even like
yeah, yeah, definitely. Not
big
only students,
architects. Big architects also face
definitely.
the same problem,
Yeah,
They feel that they don't like their works. They feel that they are very behind the others, although their work might be great, but it's just, inside
yeah,
feeling. They feel they don't
Yeah.
have enough experience, enough knowledge of software, etc. So I saw in one post you advise this kind of, students facing this situation or
Yeah.
anybody. So can you share with us your advice for them?
Yeah, sure. Uh, so basically, what helped me personally, and I shared it in one of my latest reels about insecurities, is to search for a certain public proof of your skills first. And for students, it could be basically anything related to certain evaluation by external parties, let's say by people with more experience, by professors, by uh, employees in other offices that can review your portfolio when you apply there. So, for example, for me, it was getting accepted for an internship at a certain moment when I got my first internship in the Netherlands while studying in Italy, or also getting just accepted for the school. It's also proving that you're good enough. You're one of the others that will start this journey, that will start following architecture course. Then why would you be scared that you're not there yet? And oh yeah, people say that grades are not important, but they could as well help to realize of course they could they could work play a bad role in your insecurities thing, but they could also help you to overcome it. It depends on the professors a lot. And I think also working in groups and just sharing your skills, sharing your experiences with others, and getting back the same is really important, because then you see that some people know something better than you, but there are also lots of things that you might know better than them, and then you're exchanging this experience, and this gives lots of possibilities to create nice projects, to go further with your portfolio, to extend your workflow. It's very important, I think. And community, it's so then it's comes from the previous one. Community, supportive community is important, and it could be or your classmates, but also it could be that it's your co-workers, like employees at the office where you go through the internship, and they can be a certain support for you. So yeah, I think there are multiple tools or multiple ways, but it's just important to maybe reflect on it and notice it at the right moment. It's all passes through your life, but you just don't pay attention on it unless somebody says it out loud. So yeah.
So they have also to celebrate the small achievements as well, right?
Sorry, could you
They
repeat
they
again?
have they have also to kind of celebrate the smallest achievement even so that they remember
Yeah,
that they're
yeah.
doing something in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also important to not miss or skip the open critiques or reviews when you can see the work of others in your class, because it's also something that I learned maybe not soon enough. For example, during my bachelor's, it was, for some reason, it was quite common to try to avoid a review of some other group's work or somebody's, because it's getting too long when you're, let's say, 10th in the row in a class waiting for this review for a couple of hours or for 5 hours or whatever. Then of course you're getting so bored, and then you try to avoid or skip it. But now I realize that that's also a point to develop. That's also a great point to learn,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're all making more or less similar mistakes, or some other challenges and mistakes of other groups or students could evoke new ideas in you. And if you skip it, then you just lost this opportunity to learn it. So I think, and then for the insecurities, it's also helpful, because you see that other projects have their own weaknesses and own strengths, and
Mm.
then you can grow on top of it, grow on yourself, and grow on these challenges that are discussed out loud in open reviews.
Something else also I have seen on the internet, one of the quotations that I really like is an advice given by somebody, I don't remember who's the
Mm-hmm.
author. He or she said, don't compare your behind the scenes to somebody else final show. unfortunately on the internet we see people like showing their perfect work, but they compare their first drafts with this great work, and it makes them feel very bad. So
Yeah.
as also you are influencer on social media, and you see also you follow other influencers on the internet, what kind of advice you would give to one follower of yours, seeing your or the other influencer's achievements and then comparing him or herself to your achievements? What kind of message would you tell them?
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you. Actually, yeah, it's funny because insecurities is also in a way also my problem as well. And it's not that I overcame it once and then for the whole life I'm so confident. No, of
Yeah,
course
yeah,
not. It's completely work in progress. It's working on yourself every day. And as a content creator, I also have certain insecurities, like thinking that, oh, might be quite behind others, or I saw these content creators that we started more or less at the same time, but now we are in different points or whatever, like whatever. And maybe to me, what helps is to, as I said before, notice small achievements that I personally have, to compare myself now to myself 1 year back, or
yeah.
myself 2 years back, or myself 5 years back, and then I see like a huge steps or huge growth that I made on myself, on my certain particular conditions that I had in the beginning. So I have no idea what other people that I see in the social media had in the beginning. And sometimes it's really hard to see what, or to find out what their point A was, like where did they start. Maybe it's completely different with what I had 5 years back, let's say. And then that really helps, because then you know that you're not in a race with somebody, but you're in a race with yourself, basically, with your dreams, with your goals, with whatever you have in your mind about your development. And another one is actually, it's related to it, that sometimes I just try to search for the beginning. I try to scroll really down to people that, when they started, how many years did it take them to get to the point that they're now. And I'm, let's say, I don't know, I'm considering and thinking that I'm not good enough as them, but how long did it take them to reach this point? And that's also quite fresh overview, because sometimes we are just impatient. We are striking our waiting for the fast results. I think it's just our generation. We really tend
Yeah.
to find the immediate results of our small actions, and then we're getting so disappointed that it's not coming so fast as we want. And I'm
Yes.
also one of these people waiting for fast results. But yeah, I'm just trying to bring it back and slow down and realize that things take time to.
I call it like the fast food culture. We are
Yeah,
surrounded
yeah,
by it. Yeah, unfortunately, we want everything, as
yeah,
you said, very quickly. And also, even me, sometimes when I look at other big architectural pages and so on, I compare myself to them. But sometimes I tell myself, like, some of these pages are actually run by, teams of 6, 8 people, 10 people. And if you're on your own, of course, you cannot compare your single effort
yeah,
to this teamwork. So sometimes, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, sometimes we have to, take it easy on ourselves, enjoy the journey somehow, instead of keep thinking, overthinking. And I want to ask you this question. If you look back to your school years and to your career and also to your social media experience with the communication with the people and so on, can you share with us from all of this one memorable lesson that you would never forget?
Yeah, I I think that overall, from all this journey which you mentioned, the most important what I see at the moment is learning the communication skills, actually, like this ability to be brave, to say out loud about your work, to maybe to stand out. First of all, to not hesitate to express your opinion. If in the context of work, let's say, it's extremely important. Like it's something that maybe changed my whole mindset. That what is important in Netherlands specifically is to be brave enough to say what you think about the design. So it's not working out if you just hide behind the screen and you keep making certain beautiful graphics or drawings, but you're not saying anything about it. So the team effort is always that everybody has certain inputs, not only technical input, not only just making deliverables, but being brave enough to talk, communicate in a nice manner, in a good manner. It's not just saying that, okay, I don't like it. No, but it's the whole art of communication. And I think it works the best in all other spheres and journeys that you mentioned as well. Like in the university, it was learning how to deal with the teamwork and how to work in a group, how to divide the tasks, how to make it at the end a coherent story, right? To make the projects in a way that it's not visible that 5 people worked on it and that one took one panel and others took others, and then you have complete mess. And then of course in social media as well, because it's all the time working with people. Let's say it's talking to people, it's telling stories, and then this storytelling art, and then getting back certain stories, and what are, let's say, the feelings that you evoke in people when you're sharing and communicating. So I think for me, this is the most significant lesson till now. I don't know, maybe something will pop up later, but on a certain moment, communication.
Great. And my last question for you is, a lot of students are not only insecure, they are also afraid of the future of the architectural career as a whole because of, the AI whatsoever.
Yeah.
So what would you advise them to, I wouldn't say not to be afraid, but what would your general advice be for them?
Yeah, that's quite a complex topic, to be honest, and maybe I don't have a straightforward answer, just like that direct answer. But what is what I consider significant is to follow your passion in any ways, like no matter how the life will turn, because I think that in any generation there are certain challenges in the profession, in life, and in the industry. So and people faced it, but if you don't follow your passion and what you really like, what brings you happiness, what makes you feel that you're doing something valuable, let's say, then you're stuck with the work that you don't like, you don't love, and you don't enjoy. And I think maybe that's the most important. And then how you will deal with this challenges of the industry is already another question, because this is something that will come up step by step. It's not that, I don't know, in our architecture we all have a certain vision that architects have to solve everything immediately, like all the complex questions should be solved right now, right here, with one project, the best of the best. But I think that's not how it's going to work. And it's very, like the whole challenges that industry faces at the moment, it's very complex. It's a huge bubble of problems. And it's not like that we as architects can solve everything. We also need certain, maybe governmental protection. We need certain rules and setup that will help us to survive in this field, because I think that's really important, and that's what we are lacking at the moment everywhere in the world, and not only in like also in the developed countries as well. It's also a problem. I thought that if I move the countries and I will come to the architecture office, I will find happy people there that are completely fine with their conditions. But it appeared that everywhere people, yeah, sometimes people just keep talking about negative sides of the industry, and no matter where. So I think it's also about changing the mindset and yeah, and
And
protecting ourselves.
well said when you mentioned about finding the passion. I know for some people it might sound as a cliche, but
Yeah, of course.
I read something a few days ago which says a lot of people after graduating from their schools, from high school, for university, they tend to forget the real passion. And the author said, if you want to remember your passion, just remember what you like to do when you were a child. And I thought about it for myself, and then I said, yeah, when I was a child, I used to like this, I used to like that. And now actually they are my real passions. But
Hmm.
I just didn't realize it before thinking about it. So I would say that people have to think about it for seriously because it will revive something in their lives that they didn't expect. So thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah, thank you so much. It
And
was my
do you have
yeah.
anything that you want to say before we end?
Well, I just want to thank you from all my heart that you invited me, because I think it's extremely important to just exchange these opinions on certain striking topics, and it's really nice that internet lets us do that. So we are on the other sides of the world, but
Yeah.
we still can connect. We can talk about architecture. We can share our thoughts, and this is also a source of inspiration for me. And I hope that for young aspiring architects, social media will be not just the source of anxiety when they see that, oh, somebody is more successful than me, but actually the source of inspiration to see and to use it as a tool to connect, to find new network, new collaborations, and also as a platform where they can share their skills, their talents, their drawings, whatever they want. So I hope that's going to be it.
Great, and it's my pleasure meeting you. It was very enjoyable talk for me as well. I learned a lot of new things. So thank you, Rena, for your time and for accepting the invitation. And thanks for the audience for watching us. And see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye bye.